Okay, so synthetic division, here's the rules about synthetic division. There's two rules. The first thing, set the divisor equal to 0. So we're back on problem number 6. You're going to set the divisor equal to 0. That means the thing you're dividing into it. So x plus 8 in this example is going to be your divisor. And this is called finding, I call it finding the pocket, and I'll show you what I mean by that. But you're finding the pocket number. Okay? Then the second step is to line up the coefficients. And then you want to make sure you're always checking for missing terms. If there's a missing term, you're going to put in a 0. Okay, so step number 1 is set the divisor equal to 0. So step number 1, I'm going to set x plus 8 equal to 0. And if I solve that, that gives me negative 8. So negative 8 becomes my pocket number. And so we're going to put it in a little pocket. The next step is to line up the coefficients. So what's the coefficient of x squared? What number is in front of x squared? Positive 1, right? So here's where we're looking for our coefficients. We're looking for our coefficients from this dividend. So that first coefficient is a 1, right? There's a 1 right there. So I have a 1. What's the next one? 3. And then negative 43. So we're going to line up just the coefficients. Notice there are no variables here, because you're going to want some space in between them. Leave a space to write a row underneath, and then draw a line. Leave some space to write a row underneath, and then draw a line. Okay, here's how this works. The first number, whatever this first number is, will always drop down. That's how you get started. Okay? Then I'm going to do negative 8 times 1 is what? That goes here. So I multiplied here. Negative 1 times 8. And then I'm going to add here. So what is 3 minus 8? Or 3 plus a negative 8? Negative 5.
Wait, what?
3 minus 8 is negative 5.
Oh, right.
Okay, then I'm going back to negative 8. Negative 8 times, what's the next number there? Nope, times negative 5. So just multiply it times that next number. So negative 8 times negative 5 is negative 40. Oh, positive 40, just kidding. And then we add those two, negative 3. So then the final step is to put your variables back in. But guys, notice, technically we divided an x out of this one and an x out of this, right? So my biggest exponent should be 1 less than whatever I started with. So if I start with x squared, I need to end with an x, because I drop off a variable because I'm dividing an x out of this whole thing. So this is what happens. 1 becomes my new coefficient, 1x. Then I go down the line. After just the first power comes the constant, minus 5, which means that 3 is a remainder, minus 3, and the remainder does the same thing over x plus 8. Do we need that 1 out there in front? No. So notice that 1 became a coefficient, the negative 5 came down, the negative 3 came down. Is this answer the same one you got with long division on number 5? It is. This is synthetic division.
I like the longer one.
It's fine. There are people that will like the longer division. Okay, let's do the next one in our notes. The next page. We're going to do the next page. So again, the first thing is to set the divisor equal to 0. It's number 8, right? Okay, set the divisor equal to 0. So y minus 2 equal to 0.
That would be positive 2.
Okay, so positive 2 is going to be our pocket number then. So step number 1, y minus 2 equal to 0. Y is 2. So that becomes my pocket number. Then I line up my coefficients. Are we missing any terms? I go y cubed, y squared, y, and then my constant. Are you missing any terms?
No.
No. Okay. So my first coefficient is 1, then 5, -7, and 2. Draw our line. Okay, what drops down first always? That 1. That first number always drops down. 1. 2 times 1 is 2. And then what do we do with the 5 and the 2?
Add them.
Good. Add them to get 7. And then I do 2 times 7 is,
14.
and then I add. -7 and 14 is 7. Multiply again. 2 times 7 is,
14.
add them, and I get 16. Remember, I lose a variable. So I started up here with y cubed, which means I'm going to end with y squared. So this becomes 1y squared, or just y squared, plus 7y, because it's a positive 7, plus 7. So I'm just dishing out my variables. I go from 2 to 1 to my constant, which means 16 is a what? It's an extra. We call that a remainder, right?
This is far more easier to
So
understand.
plus 16 over, what are we going to put it over? Good.
So, I understand how you got the -7, 14,
Okay?
but why did we put 14 and 2?
Because again, we did this 2 times this 7 to make 14.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. All right, why don't you try number 9? But do you have any powers that are missing in number 9?
Yes.
What is it?
Second power.
K squared. So when you're lining up your coefficients, you just put a 0 as your second coefficient. Okay? So try number 9. Can you wait till we finish this one and then go? Yep, and then we're done.
I do have one question that pops in my head just now. Are we dividing as is, as in if it's say just 13 at the top and plus a 25 on bottom? Do we subtract in that fashion?
We're always adding. What's -17 plus 25?
Okay, so always that's what I want to know.
Ask your question.
I don't know what to do next.
Did you get all your numbers now?
I think so.
Okay, did you do -5,
I did negative.
You
5
have your
times-
0 after the 17. 0k squared is here. So it needs to be 1, then 0,
Oh, yeah.
then negative 17. So if I started with k to the third, what does that mean my answer needs to start with? You just lose 1. So if this is k to the third, this is going to start k. Thank you, Ben. K squared. You lose 1 exponent. That's it. Yeah, and your final answer. Okay, so my final answer should be k squared minus 5k plus 8 minus 8 over k plus 5.
Yeah, this is far more easier to understand. The other one,
I
was
told
just
you
put
that it
there
was.
loss.
How did you get negative 40?
So I have, do you have a positive 8 here? Negative 5 times positive 8 is a negative 40.
I knew that.
Okay.
I don't know why.
Shh. Mitchell?
I have a hard time understanding with the negative. I'm looking at the negative 5. Where's the negative 5?
This one?
No.
This one.
Yeah.
Negative 5 times 1 is negative 5. When you add 0 and negative 5, you get negative
Bring
5.
down your 1, and then you multiply. You put it under the second.
Yep. And then you do this, bounce. Bounce.
Okay.
Okay? All right. On your homework, please. Number 1 and number 2, you're going to do it by factoring. Okay? You're going to do those by factoring. Let's see here. Okay, so listen carefully to these instructions. 3, 5, 7, and 9. 3, 5, 7, and 9 need to be done by long division. Okay, so if you want to put an L next to them. 3, 5, 7, 9 on page 17 are all long division. 4, 6, 8, and 10. 4, 6, 8, and 10 are going to be synthetic division. Okay? We're not going to do 11 and 12.